I recently made a Disneyland-inspired build in The Sims 4, complete with rides, outdoor vendors, and businesses inspired by Disney princesses. We have Tiana's restaurant, Belle's bookstore, Sleeping Beauty's hotel, and Cinderella's shoe shop. You can see how I built this entire exterior in part 1 of this series that I'll link down below. So today we're going to be furnishing the interiors of those shops that are inspired by Disney princesses, but I also have apartments up top. So our bottom floor here are going to be businesses that are inspired by them, but then upstairs they're going to have their own apartments as well. So I want to start off down below with Tiana's restaurant. This is the biggest one we have in the entire place, and as a reminder, it was inspired by the real one in Disneyland. So I went through the comments that you guys left on the last video. I wanted a little bit of feedback of what you wanted to see in these builds, and I saw a lot of people mentioning they wanted to see a stage with lots of jazz inspired items. So I was thinking that this spot over here could be perfect for a stage. I'm going to lift it up on a platform, then I'm going to go in and delete the walls that I just made. I'm going to add some flooring and wallpaper before we go any further. This wood I'm using is from Realm of Magic. To me, Disney has this kind of aesthetic, and it's hard to put into words, but this flooring to me just works. Then we're going to go in and add some columns. These ones I'm using are from Discovery University, and we're going to bring along this same fence that I used on the outside. I want to just section off this stage a little bit. Maybe this part should be open actually. And then to get up there, we're obviously going to need some stairs. So I'm adding these along on both sides. I also added the same flooring onto the ceiling. And then for the stage, I think I'm going to add this brick, but I want the interior wallpaper to be either yellow or green. Those are the colors that Tiana wears the most. They're also the colors we used a lot on the outside. So for the wallpaper, ooh, this could work. This is from Discovery University. I'm going to put it on every other wall. And I've also sectioned off room for a kitchen in the back here, and we're gonna have our bathrooms here too. I guess I forgot to show you, but along the back of each of these, we have a stairwell that'll lead upstairs. And then when we go in and toggle the outlines, we can change all of these to residential. So no customers or employees will go back there. And then obviously up on these floors, we're gonna have to set all of these to residential as well. That way we'll keep out any intruders that we do not want. All right, let's add our items on this stage. One item I saw requested in the comments was the saxophone. This came with the Sims 4 businesses and hobbies. Unfortunately, it's just a framed saxophone. It's not functional, but it would have been so cool if we got that as a skill. Maybe I'll move my stairs over to this side just so that that saxophone isn't stopping our Sims from coming up here. This pack actually also came with a lot of jazz inspired art, including this picture. There are some different jazz inspired photos and swatches in here. And we also got this Smooth Strummer 3000. That is the name. It's meant to be a jazz guitar. So let's add a couple of these. I wish I could add like a crocodile or some animals up here. Ooh, there's a jazz piano. Let's add that in. I guess I'll just push this one along the back. The platforms glitched around a little bit, so some of my lights just came in on the outside. Let's just put those back out there. I want to add a nice fancy chandelier or two. I already know this would be a good time. You're waiting on your food, you're watching the jazz band play. All of our tables are going to be facing this little stage. I also want to bring in some of these lights. I use these all over the exterior, so I want to bring them on the interior as well. I think they would look cool against the stage like that. These are the businesses and hobbies horizontal fairy lights. They're so easy to place. So I'm actually just going to place them all along the top of this interior. It'll be easy because I can just follow the line of this wallpaper. And now that I've done that, I'm just going to place a couple of microphones here at the front. So we've set the stage for this build, literally. We've got our lights going around. I put them around the entire thing. We need a door for our bathrooms, and I'll just add these in there. Those are from Cottage Living. And let's set up our tables for the restaurant. So for some of these, I'm going to use the big round tables from My Wedding Stories, and I think I'll lay them out like this facing the stage. And for the chairs, I'm going to use these ones from the Bistro kit. These tables bug me a little bit because the chair legs kind of like glitch into the tablecloth, but I do like how many seats I can put, and I like the way they look other than that. I love building restaurants in The Sims 4. I don't know what it is. I actually worked in quite a few restaurants like before I started doing YouTube, and it's so funny because whenever I tell you guys of any of the jobs that I've had, people are like, oh, didn't you do like X, Y, and Z other job? Yes, I did. I have worked so many different kinds of jobs. I'm the kind of person that started working when I was like physically able to. Like I think my first job I was like 11, and literally since then I worked 2 jobs at a time. Like I think I had a paper route and I also walked the neighbor's dog. So like I would do both at the same time. But I have to say some of my favorite jobs other than this one were in restaurants. It was definitely a love-hate thing at the time, but I had some good times in those restaurants. So I wanted to make a lounge space back here where people could listen to music. It's kind of something a little more relaxed than the actual dining. And I'm adding all of the dine out things that you need to make this functional because I'm going to be uploading this separately on the gallery. That way we can make this actually work, but all of the dine out things won't work if you're just opening this as a small business. But with that being said, I did set the business activity in here to eat, so Sims will still be able to eat food in here. There just, again, won't be any servers. So over here, I'm just gonna add a seating area. Like this could be where you're waiting for a table. I'm gonna add this yellow couch over here. We can also bring in a coffee table. And I also saw people saying they wanted firefly and moon decor. And I thought these lights from Realm of Magic could be perfect. So I'm gonna add these randomly scattered around. I could also place them in my bathrooms. These are the basic community lot ones that I always do, just like making a stall this way. I feel like it's the easiest way to save room. And there are still some swatches from those jazz pictures that I haven't used yet. Let's add some of these in our bathrooms. There are plenty of them in The Sims 4. Like base game itself has a lot of jazz inspired decor, so we can definitely bring that upstairs to her apartment. Also, something about this sink and mirror combo gives Disney to me. And you know what? We should probably only be using the fanciest of the fancy toilets today. Okay, so here is the main portion of Tiana's restaurant. I just know this place would be so much fun. Like maybe after a certain point at night, you could delete some of these tables and add a dance floor in here. I was thinking about even adding one of those secret dance floors somewhere, but I just don't want them to get in the way of the servers. So I think deleting the tables and then bringing in the dance floor would be a fun idea. Here's how it looks going the other way from the stage. And then I also completed our bathrooms over here too. I didn't add anything too crazy, just our sinks. I added a bit of wall decor and we have our hand sanitizer and towels. The only thing I wanted to add, I still have this room over here. This is where I wanted to add a kitchen. So we can go ahead and set this room to employees only. I'm also going to add in these chef stations because when you actually build a functional dine out restaurant, you need these. Then we can add 2 fridges on this side. I'm also going to add counters over on this side. This is where we could add like a dishwasher. I'll toss a couple of these here. I'll add my sinks. And then I just wanted to add other decor that would work. Like we have these ceiling decorations with the pots and pans from base game. I also wanted to add some big garbage bins. Maybe a table over here in the corner where we could stack some plates. We can add a fan. I know those kitchens get hot. We need a smoke detector. And then I'll just fill the rest of this space with some cabinets. All right, so we're done with our kitchen. I added a microwave over here as well. We've got some coffee clutter, everything we would need to run a functional dine out restaurant. And I think I'm gonna wait and do the apartments after we finish the bottom floor. So let's next move on to Belle's bookshop. I forgot to show you, I did replace that little seating area we had outside with this fountain, which is so cute because Sims can actually sit and read on the fountain. I feel like it represents Belle a little better. Like how cute is that? This fountain, by the way, is from My Wedding Stories. So my original plan here was to make a flower shop and bookstore combined, but after thinking about it a little bit more, I want to make it into a coffee shop bookstore. You guys in the comments were saying you wanted to see a lot of tea clutter, like with teapots and stuff like that, so I think that would work out better. So let's first find our coffee shop portion. There are a few options we can use. There's this one that came with businesses and hobbies. You kind of have to read what they sell on these. Like this one's definitely a coffee bar, but then there's this one from high school years, which is like a bubble tea counter. This one I've always liked from Get Together, and it's a little bit bigger. It would take up this whole spot, but then we could actually add a door in the back. I'll have to change this area back to public, but it's okay because this upstairs part is residential, so no one's gonna be able to go up there anyway. But if that part is public, then employees should be able to come back here still. It sucks that I can't do employees and residential because I want to make sure the entire family can go upstairs even if they're not employed. Anyway, we'll add a chandelier. We need some kind of shelving for the back. We could use these bar backs from the Cozy Bistro kit. And then on there, I want to add a ton of teapot clutter. My favorite teapot clutter comes with The Sims 4 My Wedding Stories. Like this one is so adorable. There are these actual tea sets that are so cute. The swatches on here are really pretty as well, so we're gonna add these. The debug clutter comes separated as well, so we have the little teacups we can add around. I also want to add in some book clutter on these shelves, and we can still add flowers too. I'm not opposed to still having a bunch of flowers in here. Oh, this clock we can add, and there's this base game candlestick. This is perfect for Beauty and the Beast. I totally forgot about this, but Lovestruck added different swatches to this single rose, and some of them are really pretty, like this one. There's this chalkboard we can add from Get to Work, and then there's also this book stand from Vampires I'm gonna just add over in the corner. Oh, Vampires also has a picture with like framed roses. I'll put those over top of our bathroom door, and for now this is the back of our bookstore coffee shop. We still have to do the entire front section of this shop, and I want it to be similar in the way that it's super cluttered. I want this to be one of those quirky bookstores that's like kind of unorganized. There are books all over the place. The old book smell is strong, but it's such a comforting feeling going in there. So for that reason, I want to use different bookshelves. I don't want them to all be lined as the same ones. However, I do want to make sure we use the one with the ladder from the Crystal Creations kit. And for this to be a functional store with businesses and hobbies, we have to include a couple of these shelves. So I'll put a few stacked between those, and then over here, I'll add a few of these right at the front. I do want the walkways in between here to be a little narrow. Like when you walk through here, you're just going to be completely surrounded by books. And it's also going to give off a little bit of a maze vibe. I'm adding these bookshelves in the back from Life and Death. I still have to fill these up with clutter, but now we have all of our bookshelves laid out. And then I'm also just going to add a small seating area, basically just for any Sims that want to come in and enjoy their coffee. They can come and read in this spot. Reading is also one of the business activities that we have here. And now I'm just going to hunt through debug, and I want to find the books that are stacked on top of each other or on display like this. So when we place these on here for sale, they're going to actually look like they're on display. And there are so many different ones that come like this. So I'm just going to start placing a bunch of them. And then I'm also filling up all of our shelves with flowers and roses. And then I was thinking about adding in some stuff from the storybook kit. We could just do a rocking chair and maybe one of their end tables here. Something about this kit always gave Disney to me. There's also a bookcase we can add on this side. And then in the last video, I was trying to figure out where the flower in the jar is. I knew there was one, but I couldn't remember. And you guys reminded me it is from Werewolves. It's the moon petal. It's hiding in this little jar on display. It's not a rose, but this is definitely giving Beauty and the Beast to me. So here is our Belle bookshop. I love how this turned out. I love how cozy it looks in here. We've got all of our books on display. I also added some wall decor like a mirror and that base game book decor. I also went in and stacked these Book Nook kit tables. So there are like books stacked everywhere with little candlesticks on them. I hid them in these corners. I don't know why. I just felt like this needed to be extra cluttered. Then we have our tables over here. Same thing. I added some flowers on there with the candles. I cluttered up even more of our coffee area. And then again, I just did a single bathroom in this one. So we just have the toilet and the sink. All of these are going to have bathrooms, so there's going to be no shortage for our Sims. But there we go. Belle's bookshop and coffee all complete. Let's move on to the next one. The next one we're going to do is the Sleeping Beauty Hotel. This one's going to be 2 floors. I said we're not going to be doing any apartment up here for her since we're going to have both hotel rooms up there too. So I've tried to lay this out. Each one obviously has to have their own bathroom. And I also do want to include a mini fridge in each one. And I want these to be sort of rustic. Again, we're going to have a lot of flowers in here. I saw someone said to include a spindle because in Sleeping Beauty, an iconic symbol of that movie is the spindle. That's where she pricks her finger and it all spirals downhill from there. We don't have one of those in The Sims 4, but apparently a spindle is what they use to spin fibers into yarn, apparently. And what we do have in The Sims 4 is yarn. We've got plenty of yarn. Knitting is a skill we have in The Sims 4, so I guess we're just gonna have to include a bunch of yarn. But first I want to get our beds. Obviously, this has to be extra whimsical. This bed I've always thought was super pretty from Realm of Magic, so I'm gonna use at least one of them for this. And unfortunately, these rooms are not the biggest, so it unfortunately will be a little minimal in here, but we'll still make it work with the whimsical rustic look I'm going for. So I'm adding this mirror. We can add some flowers, maybe a soft rug. The thing is, ideally, these Sims are gonna be sleeping here for a long time, so I also want to make sure those beds are comfy. We're definitely gonna have a mini fridge, maybe a microwave. I always love when hotels have this combo because then you can bring home your leftovers and like warm up your pizza the next day. I'm adding in this plant from Lovestruck. Maybe also a picture from Werewolves could be cute here. And then over to this side, we should add a dresser, and maybe on top of there is where we can put the yarn. Yeah, perfect. What else? We could probably get a hanging plant here, and a chair would also be nice. And then we could also raise a pink pillow on top. I'm gonna have two different rooms. We'll have a pink room and a blue room. Both will represent her dress color that she switches up. We could also maybe add in some of the nifty knitting embroidery. We could just have that over the door. And I might also just add a wall plant. I want to keep this part pretty clear so Sims can walk through there, but for now, this is what our first bedroom looks like. In this type of bathroom, we can basically just do one toilet, and then we can have the shower facing this wall, and our sink is on this wall over here. This is how I'm going to do the bathrooms for every room in this hotel. So I'll just bring all this stuff over on the other side. And then for the blue room, this one is quite a bit smaller. We do still have room for a double bed though. It just might have to be something a little smaller, like maybe this bed from Vampires. And then I really wanted to put a canopy over top of this. So we could add these from high school years, but I'm going to come into live mode and change up the tone on these. We'll use the same nightstand and like candles and stuff that I used in the other one. This one also has a tiny nook for the dresser. We'll add our yarn basket. I think on this side, I'll add maybe a mirror if I can fit one. I guess we could just put one like that, but I want them to have a space to knit. So I'm going to add this rocking chair again, but we'll use a different swatch. Actually, that pink one with the blue is really pretty. Oh no, wait, they need a mini fridge. Okay, I think the mini fridge is going to replace our end table. We're really using up our space efficiently in this Sleeping Beauty hotel. So, okay, this is going to be our second bedroom. A little smaller. I probably should have used a single bed, but regardless, I do like it. Let's go upstairs and finish these ones. I think they're going to be pretty similar. I'll bring the same wallpapers. We'll do the same thing for our bathroom. And I think this time for our beds, I'm going to use single beds. We'll do that for both of them. This bed is from Seasons. It's really pretty. This way, if we have Sims that don't exactly want to sleep in the same bed together, they're covered. That is definitely one issue I ran into when I built the mermaid hotel. I had a lot of double beds and not a lot of couples. So they're gonna have like a similar vibe, but this one's gonna be nice because it'll have a lot more room. I'm using similar furniture. I feel like that's pretty common in hotels. I think these ones could get TVs though. They've got smaller beds, but I'll give them the frame TV. Actually, it matches the aesthetic as well. This one can have their mini fridge in the corner. Same as this one, I'll just stick it right here. So here we have our top floor Sleeping Beauty rooms. I like that we have the separate beds. Again, that's going to be super helpful for gameplay. And I like how these rooms are all similar, but a tiny bit different from each other. I think the knitting stuff is super cute, but I do still have a little bit of room out here. Like this is just going to be a common shared area. So we could really just add a comfy seating area for them. And again, I'll just add some pillows on here. We could add some of those fancy chandeliers we've been using. A big fireplace could be cozy. I'll add in some of these pink curtains with the Blooming Rooms kit plants. I think a small bookshelf in here would be nice too. So here we have a common area. Sims could also come out here and knit together. That would be super fun. They could read out here if they wanted to. So that is our top floor complete. And then I just have to do the bottom floor, which I was honestly just thinking about making like a little check-in counter. Obviously, Sims aren't really gonna use this because I can add a ticket booth here so they can pay the entrance fee, but I already had those over at the front of the park. Same as this cash register I'm going to add from Get to Work. It's really just for show. But then in here, we could bring in some of the lattice again. Some romantic garden, I'm just pushing them into the walls. Oh, that's a really pretty swatch. We can bring more greenery in here. I'm pretty sure when Sleeping Beauty isn't stuck in a tower, she loves being in nature. So maybe I'll actually move these underneath the stairs instead. And we can use this trellis behind the check-in. Maybe we can also add a couple big bookshelves in the corner. There's also room for a sofa under the stairs. And there we go. We have our Sleeping Beauty check-in room. Okay, so that is our Sleeping Beauty hotel all finished. Now we just have to move from here over to the Cinderella shoe shop. So in the back here, I was already started thinking about making fitting rooms, and I want Cinderella's to be the fanciest. For some reason, when I think about this story of Cinderella, I just think about like, I don't know, like classic luxury, other than, you know, when she's forced to clean her life away. Like I think a wallpaper like this could be nice. There's a little shine on there. This is from Vintage Glamour. The fitting rooms, I'm gonna add tile. And then for the mirrors, I was picturing something like this, like very fancy, very extra. And then Sims are not gonna register that this is a changing room, obviously. But if I add dressers in here, like these ones, then Sims could actually come in here to change their clothes. I played The Sims 1 on this channel a little while ago, and it was really fun because in the shops, you can actually try things on before you buy them. I feel like functional changing rooms in The Sims 4 would be cool. And I guess in this room, I can squeeze in a clothing rack. Like this could be where they put their clothes that they don't want. And I did see in my last video, I wanted this to be a clothing slash shoe shop just because you'll see we don't have a lot of shoe options in The Sims 4. But all right, there are the fitting rooms. And then for the rest of this, I wanted to bring in some super fancy columns. So I'm going to use those to separate the changing rooms. I've also been using these from Get Famous. And then again, for it to be functional, we're going to need these shelves from Businesses and Hobbies. So I'm going to place 3 of these lined up, and shoe clutter comes with the Sims 4 Dream Home Decorator. We don't have anything really that's going to resemble Cinderella's shoes. Like all we have are these heels, and then the rest are like running shoes. We've got some boots even. So I'm going to add all of them just so we have some variety. So there's our shoe display looking cute. But then someone was saying to add them into a glass cabinet. So like we can grab a pair of shoes and raise them up, and these could be special shoes. They're locked away. They could be her glass slippers. But then in the back here, I also wanted to add some shelves for clothing. We'll move this glass cabinet over a tiny bit. Ideally, I would love for this to be filled up with dresses, fancy clothing, but the only thing I can fit in here are these from high school years. So like they're just gonna have to do. And then for decor, I wanted to add these big pumpkins, but I do also want some fancy flowers in here. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention, I added this bird home outside of her shop. And then when you go in live mode, you see all of these little birds like flying in and out of there. And sometimes it glitches. So birds are gonna actually end up flying around in the shop. It's perfect. And another thing I saw a lot of people asking for were the mouse holes from cats and dogs. So I'm gonna add a few of these everywhere. Maybe they can be little helpers. Like if you need something in the changing room, they can run and grab it for you somehow. And then I also wanted to add a seating area. We can add some couches here. This could be where you come and try on your shoes. Maybe I'll place them backwards like this. And then we can add some other chairs like these ones from Businesses and Hobbies. There are other displays we could use too, like these ones, and then I could go in and add more shoes on there. We can size up some of these flowers as decor. And then on this side, I'm gonna do the same thing. We'll have a little bit of clothing, and behind it, I'll add my shoe shelves. I'm gonna add in these curtains from My Wedding Stories, adding in some more pumpkin decor. And here we have our fancy Cinderella shoe store. We've got a little bit of clothes for sale, some shoes. Something I just thought about adding actually, it was like a couple clocks in here. So I'm just adding those small base game ones. We've got our fitting rooms. We've got a place where you can sit down and try on your shoes. And with that, we are finished our entire bottom floor. These are the shops inspired by Disney princesses, all complete. Let me know which one is your favorite, but we still have to go upstairs and do the apartments. I guess we could work backwards this time. Like we'll start off with the Cinderella one, and then we'll do Belle and then Tiana. I've already done a layout for most of these. All of them are gonna have 1 bathroom, 1 bedroom. So let's start back here with the bedroom. I think for the apartment, again, I'm gonna try and go mostly fancy. Like I want the bedroom to be really pretty with like a nice, beautiful, fancy bed. We'll have nice decor like this Get Famous mirror. I'm using these sheer curtains from Desert Luxe. We can do a big clock over the bed. We'll do a fluffy rug underneath. And then I kind of want to have some flower petals somewhere. Maybe I can have them leading into the house or all the way back here, or maybe that's a little too much. We'll see. I definitely want the touch of starlight item in this room. By the way, if you see some of the plants peeking through like over there, that is from these cottage living vines. There's nothing you can do about it. They just peek through the house and it's super annoying. It's kind of unfortunate because they have always been like that. And I'm just adding this starlight on the blue parts of this wallpaper, so it sort of looks like it's built into the wallpaper. I also want to bring those fancy columns into this apartment. Like we could use them to frame the door. We can add a nice big fancy dresser. We can just sort of space it out like this. We could even use some of the chairs from Get Famous in this room. I love the storybook end tables that we were using. I'm bringing that in here. The mouse holes are gonna follow us everywhere, obviously. And I'm thinking maybe we keep hers nice and neat. Obviously, it's Cinderella. She's gonna have like a whole cleaning closet in hers, whether she's the one keeping it neat or her animal helper friends. There's like a cute little bunny we could add here. I was also using these candlesticks from Realm of Magic downstairs. I have room for an ottoman right here. We could definitely add a plant. And okay, I said I would keep it clean, so this is all I'm gonna add for Cinderella. This is her bedroom. I like the color scheme. I love the wallpaper. I think I'm gonna bring that wallpaper in. And the Get Famous gold with the blue, I feel like that is just giving so much Disney in my opinion. And because we're gonna add laundry, I need to add a hamper in this bedroom. So let's keep it going. We're gonna go and do the kitchen and dining. Maybe we'll have room for a living room. I'm gonna try and find a similar wallpaper. Maybe we try this. And I could shrink these starlights so they just fit in these panels. I also changed my lighting so it's a tiny bit more blue. And I left this bottom bit blank because I was thinking that's where my counters could go. For the counters, I used Realm of Magic. I think I'm also gonna try and use the Realm of Magic fridge. I'll just replace one of these in the corner. That means that we should use the matching oven. Have I done a Cinderella build before? I feel like I have. Like I must have. I've done so many Disney inspired builds at this point on this channel. If you just search Disney on this channel, you'll find all of them. But I don't remember doing a Cinderella one. And the aesthetic is so pretty. I feel like I must have, right? Although I don't know, it has been a little while. The fact that I've had this channel for 5 years now is extremely concerning. Time has just been flying. It's insane. But look how adorable this kitchen is. I did also want to add a bit of pumpkin decor up here too. There are a bunch of different sizes with cottage living, so I'll just add a few. And then we have our island for dining. We could maybe do a mirror right there. Just like I thought, we don't have a lot of space for a living room, but I can at least add a couch. There's a Get Famous bookshelf, which might work. Oh, I guess I could fit that into the corner. I'm adding my curtains again. I'm trying to find a little more decor that works. I really liked how those Crystal Creations ones looked, but I don't know if I'll have room. Oh, we could do these. Okay, these are perfect. These are still glass containers and we can fit the shoes in there. So this can be our like shoe cabinet for where we put our shoes on before we leave the house. We could put the tiniest mirror by the door with the mouse hole. I've added one everywhere so they can go in every room. And I also did want to add a little pink in here because I think she does have a pink dress at some point. So maybe we can clutter up with some pink flowers. And there we go. We have our Cinderella inspired apartment. My favorite part, I think, has to be the entry over here. I love the clutter that we decided to use by it. Although our kitchen in this one is also very pretty. I added a tiny bit more clutter, more stuff on the walls. Then over on this side, we have our Get Famous excessive gold furniture. But I did say I wanted to pay a tribute to cleaning Cinderella. So I want to add like an all brick closet. We can add laundry in here. Ooh, the wash bin would also be pretty good. I could put that in the bathroom, although we're probably not gonna have room for it. But I wanted all the cleaning stuff in here. Like we can add the broom decor. I can raise up some of the Bust a Dust vacuums. I think the animal clutter would make the most sense in this room so they could like help her. Oh, the bunny bookshelf would have been cute too. Okay, I'm gonna put that over here. So there she has a cleaning room. And then over here for our bathroom, we could make this one pink. I think the wash bin has to go. When I think Cinderella, I don't really think pink, honestly, but I did see someone mention to pay tribute to the pink dress, so here we are. I do still want to use the fancy toilets and stuff for them, same as the fancy sinks. Again, these are not going to be anything too impressive. We could add some pictures in here, like these are pretty. I could also bring this bathtub forward a little bit and we can add the candlesticks back there. So that's what we're going to do for our Cinderella bathroom. Okay, moving on from the Cinderella apartment, we're skipping past the Sleeping Beauty one, and next we're going to build one for Belle. So for this one, again, I want to do like an academia vibe. There's this wallpaper I came across last time I want to use for the bathroom, and then we can use that base game flooring. I think I want to do blue for out here, and then we can use yellow furniture and decor in this room. But then for her bedroom in the back, I think back there I might want to do more yellow, or we could do like yellow and blue combo like that. So let's start again by looking for a yellow or a blue bed. Hers, I don't feel like it has to be as fancy as Cinderella's. Like for Belle's, I think we could go a little more casual, but not as casual as I plan on making Tiana's. Hers is gonna be like, I think way more on the relaxed scale, like more of a normal apartment, I guess. But again, whatever we do, I want to add a lot of books. So I'm scattering these around on the bedsides. I liked how it looked with the candlesticks on them too, so I'm gonna do that again. I could add a notepad here, but I feel like I need a desk. Otherwise, we are just gonna end up with books and clutter everywhere. So I'm gonna add this desk in the corner. I'll give her this chair. I think I'm gonna add this old looking typewriter for her. We can actually shift this over. I'm gonna use this mirror from the basement kit. In hers, I'm going to use the curtains from Businesses and Hobbies. And then we could add the candlestick in the corner. We'll add more flower decor. We could also add some of the bookshelves. These are from the Book Nook kit. What else? I'm trying to find some art that will work in this room. And I'm just sort of ending up making this cluttered bedroom again, similar to the vibe that we did for the bookstore downstairs. So I ended up making a gallery wall situation for Belle. I couldn't decide on what kind of art I wanted on there, so I just added all of it. But we have our desk over here. We've got some bookshelves hanging around, a nice comfy bed for her, and now we can move on into the living room. I've also just been adding random stuff for whenever the time comes to use it, but let's add some bookshelves in here. And since we decided not to use that furniture outside, inside. Like the yellow stuff that I had going on, I think I'm gonna bring it in this room. So it was just like this base game yellow set that I was using. And then there are some matching chairs that we can bring in. We'll add our candlestick here. I want to add a grandfather clock. Like this one from Life and Death could be pretty. I think I could fit a coffee table here. And we can add our little tea set. We'll add some clutter to our bookshelves as well. The only thing I really wish I could have in here is a fireplace. Like I guess we could fit one over into this corner beside the clock, just like one of the smaller ones. This is from Horse Ranch. And then all we have to do is flip around and do the kitchen. We have a lot more space in this one than we did in the Cinderella one. So I think we can use these newer counters we got from base game. I think I want to use the yellow fridge and matching oven that comes with the country kitchen kit. And we can use the matching cabinets over top. We even have room in this one for a dining table. So I'm going to add some chairs around that. There are more super cute tea sets we can use. There is definitely no shortage of tea clutter in The Sims 4. We could also add a big hutch over here. We could add the cookbook clutter. We can add some candles back here too. I have the tiniest bit of space right here, so we can add some aprons. And of course, if we've got room for a bookshelf for Belle, she's gonna get it. So this is how our apartment for Belle turned out. Super cozy. We have tons of tea clutter over here. Then we have a living room in the back with tons of books. Belle can read her little heart out here. Then I've also gone ahead and done the bathroom pretty similarly to the other ones, again with this super nice plumbing. I gave her a yellow bathtub. I even have a space in the back to add more books for her. And we're finally ready to move on to the last apartment, which will be for Tiana. This again is the biggest one. So we're first gonna find wallpaper for this place. I think maybe this could be cute for the bathroom. And then we add in like some dark brown tile. We could do something similar in her bedroom. Like we do a yellow wallpaper, but then I would fill it up with green decor. I think she has a blue dress too though, so we could play around with a bit of that as well. So okay, for Tiana, I want to start with the kitchen because I want to give her a big elaborate kitchen. So we can start off by giving her a double fridge. Ooh, wait, the yellow counters from Cottage Living, these could be really nice. And then I need fridges that fit this space a little better, so let's do these ones. And I loved the use of string lights that we used downstairs, so I'm bringing these again. Ever since I saw the pictures of Tiana's palace at Disney and it was decked out in these lights, now I just associate them with Tiana, so we're gonna put them all over this apartment. And I again just really liked how they looked too. Okay, maybe they're a little excessive. I'll delete some of them where I plan on putting curtains and stuff. Like maybe we don't need them on every wall, but we've got our fridge. I'm gonna give her an oven over here. Maybe we'll do 2 ovens. And Cottage Living has built-in sinks, so we're gonna use these. Maybe doubling it up is too much. Let's replace this with a counter. And then we can give her some of these cabinets. I like combining the ones from Cottage Living and Country Kitchen. They just go well together. Oh, this rug could work too. I'm gonna add this for when we add our living room. I do want to add a big dining space somewhere though, so we could use that rug for that. There is just so much pretty decor we can add in this one. Like we could add some hanging herbs. I am gonna bring the saxophone clutter in this room as well. So far this is what we've got for our kitchen. We do still need a trash can. I'm just gonna stick that on the outer edge. Oh, we have a lot of space for the living room. I think I'm again gonna try and find a yellow couch. We could try this from Discover University. Ooh, we could do a nice big fireplace here. And I'm gonna just delete these walls behind so that I can raise that picture up and we'll actually mount it on that space between. All right, this rug from Paranormal is working better. If I change my chairs and my couch to green, I like this. And I'm realizing I have not added any frog stuff. Ooh, we could add some of the pet frogs. Maybe not the death one. Let me get some kind of shelving unit for my frogs. I need something big where I can fit them all on display. Oh, this works. We can add a couple of them and then I'll just do a plant on the bottom. I feel like that looked a little random. Maybe I'll just move it over in this corner. And then this over here, I could add like an ottoman just by the door. Now this can be the perfect spot for a bookshelf. I also want to bring up some of the instruments that we had downstairs. Like a piano could really work in this corner. There's also, like I said, so many jazz pictures we can add. So I'm just gonna bring these in. There's a lot of jazz inspiration in base game too. And I think once again, Tiana's has to be my favorite. This room in general, I feel like we have everything we need. I love the color scheme in here. I love that we managed to get the massive kitchen that we needed for her and just all of the greenery and the fairy lights. What is not to love about this apartment? Let's go and do the bedroom. I'm gonna bring everything in here. I've been using all my curtains. It's nice too because these rooms also have balconies. So like she could come out here, watch over her restaurant. And okay, let's go find a bed. Honestly, it could be green or yellow. I'm not picky here. The this one looks like it could be comfy. Or this one has both colors. This is the same one I used for Belle. Or even actually, this is really nice. This is from Cats and Dogs. We need a dresser. I might use one of these bigger ones. I'll add this mirror in the corner. I think I'll also add a yellow chair here. We could also fit a desk on this side. Then we can use the heart chair. I think I'll give her an actual computer in this one. She can do some business up here for the restaurant. I'll add in some more art. Maybe I can get a small couch here. I also added another chair on this side. We could even do another table over here. And on there, we'll just add some more frogs. We gotta do it. It's definitely not my preferred method of decor, but she is the princess and the frog. And wait, is there not a streetcar? Yes. Oh my gosh, cute. It's perfect. Maybe I'll just have one frog in here and we'll replace that with flowers. Beautiful. This is Tiana's bedroom. Her apartment remains my favorite, just like the business. I think it's just the color scheme, the fact that it looks so cozy. She also has the most room and, in my opinion, the most to do. I also went ahead and did her bathroom. Because she's got the bigger one, I was able to fit a bathtub and a shower. She's got the same golden toilet and a golden sink, just like everyone else. I did want to give her a speaker in here though, so she could listen to music if she's in the bath. And just because I really liked how they looked downstairs, I want to bring in a couple more of these fireflies. So there we go. We have apartments and businesses built inspired by Disney princesses. Let me know which was your favorite apartment, which one was your favorite store. And if you guys like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.